Hello, 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 and welcome back to Thando's. Holla. I got another one. They're not even mine, but they're here, and I have access to them, so here we are. I'm back, and so is Sunny. Today was actually supposed to be a sunny day, but now it's gloomy, in typical Melbourne fashion. Or maybe I made up that it was supposed to be sunny. Maybe I never checked the weather at all. One of those things is true. In Taurus moon fashion, I've decided to eat and talk. Well, the talking portion doesn't have to be the Taurus end of things. I'm just a chatty air sign. But today's video is going to be entitled, Let Them Underestimate You. Yes, this is something I feel very deeply in my soul. I don't think this one's going to be a long video, to be honest, but I guess we'll find out. I'll tell you how this relates to me, and then I'll just give you some general advice, and you do with that what you will. At the end of the day, I'm just a girl on the internet. You could choose to not listen to anything I have to say. I am someone who operates in a very specific way, as I'm sure most people can identify. And that specific way hasn't always matched with societal standards of how people operate. And it's taken a lot of me doing things in spite of how people feel around me that I'm approaching it, encountering a lot of pushback and a lot of you're not doing this correctly, a lot of do you need help because you appear to be struggling, when really I just have my own processes for things. If you'd met me in school, you would have thought that I was probably someone that was going to go to uni, be cookie cutter, adult, marry, 2 children, picket fence. But I did go to uni for a semester, and I dropped out, but I didn't tell my mum until I think partway through the 2nd semester because I was just so scared to say it, say it out loud. And that's because I hadn't quite decided what I wanted to do, what I wanted to study, who I wanted to be, and I knew that I needed time to figure it out. I wanted to do a gap year, but at the time she had refused, and being freshly 18, I didn't feel that I had much say in what I was doing and where I was going, because who was I to tell someone older than me how life should be lived, But turns out my instinct was right, because I still dropped out anyway, because I still hadn't figured out what I wanted to do. And I think I knew that I needed to follow my passions in a non-pressurized fashion, so that I could figure out which ones I wanted to pursue further. Then I'd get into the workforce, and even as I start working and I'm getting a feel for, how corporate environments work, office politics, what's that whole thing, and I realize I have an affinity for it, and I start to slowly engage with my passions outside of work as I have my entire 20s. But even with the workforce, the way that I engage with things hasn't been something many people have understood. I know younger generations understand. Jumping from job to job. And I jumped for very different reasons. I could probably list all the places I worked and the reasons why I went in and out of those places. I naturally work very hard. I naturally overgive, and that's something that I'm better at recognizing now that I'm an adult. And so I would start a job with full speed ahead, wanting to climb the ladder, wanting to be as helpful as possible, wanting to have the best KPIs, in the business. And that's a trait that people would try to take advantage of. And when people are natural takers and you're a natural giver, they will continue to take and you'll continue to give. But then I would get to a place where my soul would be like, this is not sustainable. I don't like you giving so much and not receiving anything back. And that's why I've weaved in and out of jobs. Apart from that, some work environments are so toxic. And me being psychic and sensitive, things get to me in a very different way. And it's not always about me. I'm not always thinking about how things directly affect me. I watch how bosses interact with everyone. I watch how everyone interacts with everyone. And I guess over time, if I start witnessing or experiencing things that I believe become a net negative as opposed to a net positive, it gets to me. And no matter how many times I try to just forget it, my soul refuses to be in situations that begin to become stagnant or prolongingly take and drain me without refilling my cup. And so, because I have followed my instincts in these things, how can you explain to someone your instinct? How? Should you have to? Probably not. But I was doing what felt right. And with every job I've left, I mean, many of them, I've stayed a little bit too long. Being a Taurus moon, I know it sounds crazy, but the reason why I'm otherwise like a fire sign is because I have Leo placements. But I do like a sense of comfort. So a lot of me wouldn't want to leave this place because it's like, well, but like I've got a routine, I've got friends and stuff. And it always feels above me almost. It's like my higher self is like, nah, we're not doing this. We can't continue to do this. And fight as I may, I eventually surrender and I do the thing. And many, many, many a time, I have received rewards for leaving those situations. I have gotten a better job or gotten a side project that really restored my mental health and made me flourish in a different way. I might have even taken a break from working, but filled my cup in other ways. I might have entered new friendships or relationships or whatnot because of these situations. So these are the reasons that I think people underestimate me, because they see me as this haphazard person. To the untrained eye, I don't know what I'm doing. I just go about allowing my feelings to dictate what I do and don't do, which some of that is true, but most people in my life that know me, I mean, I think now I'm at a place of even keel between, my intellect and my emotions, but way more years of my life, I have always tried to override my emotions with my logic, and it has literally caused me to be physically ill. And now I'm 28. The way I feel now and where I see myself going, what I know psychically and what I feel intrinsically is coming for me. And what I already feel, like the richness of my heart, the richness of my internal world. It's lush in here. It's lush, it's green, it's fertile, it's abundant. And there are other ways in which I've been responsible that other people may not know, especially if they're not close to me or not close to me anymore. I may have jumped from job to job, but I have religiously put aside money for retirement since I was 22, outside of what the government already does. Because in Australia, the government will take a portion of the wage that your employer is supposed to give you to put into retirement automatically. Even if no one understands what I'm doing, by taking the time to learn myself, show myself greater love, care, compassion, putting myself first, my needs, my wants, my perspective of the world, realizing that no matter what I do, people will always misunderstand. Some by choice, and some just because they don't have the capacity. And so I could give a fuck, or I could not, and just live my life and flourish, because I know intrinsically what the people that sit around being boring by choosing to be jealous of me, or choosing to overlook me. I know that my success in this life won't come from anything external. It won't necessarily come from the way that I adorn myself, or the car that I drive, or the house that I live, or the suburb that I live. My power comes from within. My power comes from knowing where I come from respecting where I come from, from respecting myself by listening to my internal voice, no matter how much it differs from what I'm hearing out there. Even if it's uncomfortable, I will always back myself up, because it just seemed sensible to reach for that. And I feel now more than ever that I back myself up. Let people underestimate you, because the proof is very much in the pudding. What is known doesn't need to be explained. And I think time and time again, I have amassed a few people that watch me from afar, from over the years. And I think it's those people that know what's coming. And it's those people that have seen what's coming way before I was strong enough, smart enough, open enough to see it for myself. So bet on you. Bet on you by putting so much energy into yourself, so much love, backing yourself, even when you're confused why you want something or why you need something. You know, you might be in a relationship and you keep getting this intrinsic feeling to leave it. And you don't understand, because as far as you're concerned, aren't you happy? But maybe you're trying to tell yourself something. And maybe if you really listened, you would hear. And you would love what you hear. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I just felt called to talk about this. And I can't wait to see you in the next one. Say goodbye to Sunny. I'll see you in the next one.